Silent Hill 2 is regarded as one of the best Silent Hill games in the franchise, and is often regarded as one of the best survival horror games created. The struggle of James through the town of Silent Hill and the manifestations of his psychological horror are well documented. I'm not here to dispute that. What I'm here to do is to offer an alternative theory of what is happening to James as he goes through the town. That theory is that he is actually going through the circles of hell as described by Dante in the Divine Comedy. Now, he doesn't go through all 9, not at least as far as I can tell. I think he goes through 7 of the 9 circles of hell. And what I intend to do in this video is give examples and explanations as to why I think that. Now, obviously, I realise that there's going to be people that dispute my theory. That's fine, please do. This is just a theory, after all. And as I say, I will give examples both from the Divine Comedy itself or a brief summary of each of the circles, as well as examples from the game. So, without further ado, let's get on with it and go through the first circle of hell. So, according to the Divine Comedy, Dante, along with Virgil, arrives at Limbo, which is the first circle of hell. They had to cross the river Acheron on a boat to reach Limbo. The literal meaning of Limbo is boundary or edge, and the first circle contains people who did not accept Christ. Limbo is filled with virtuous pagans and people who were never baptized. The people who don't have enough faith to enter heaven, but also were not sinful, are sent to Limbo. The poem then describes many prominent figures that are in Limbo. Obviously, this doesn't have an effect on Silent Hill. However, this is also the part that, in my mind, describes the first part of James's journey, not only through Silent Hill, but also the first circle of hell. And that is this. There is the presence of sadness and gloominess. The people's soul in Limbo is unhappy. Although heaven is near, they won't be able to enter. Presence of sadness and gloominess. Now, doesn't that describe James's journey through the forest to Silent Hill itself, where he meets Angela and so on and so forth? So, Limbo is followed by the second circle of hell, which is lust. Now, that's actually pretty self-explanatory. I don't have to go into what lust is. But now that I've mentioned lust, the manifestation of this circle of hell should be pretty explanatory. And it's Maria. As has already been mentioned many times, Maria is James's manifestation of Mary in his own mind. But Maria could be James's manifestation of his lust for Maria as well, or Mary. The other manifestation of this lust and his continuing journey through the circles of hell is the cutscene with Pyramid Head in the apartments, and for obvious reasons I haven't put it in this video, as well as the double-legged creature that you fight at various stages throughout the game. These are all representations of the second circle of hell that James goes through, which is lust. So the third circle of hell, I don't think directly affects James, but he does go through it with another character, and that character is Eddie, who we first meet in the apartment buildings. Now, when we meet him in room 101, which is a reference to 1984 as well, that body is actually in a refrigerator. Now, Eddie claims he doesn't have anything to do with that body, and I'm not going to go into any speculation here. However, the next time we meet Eddie is in the bowling alley, and he is eating a pizza. Laura even calls him a gutless fatso, as in he eats a lot of food. And the third circle of hell is gluttony. And quoting from a summary of the Divine Comedy, in the third circle, the souls of the people who indulged in voracious feasting and appetite are tortured. The whole landscape is filled with putrefying mud and living organs. Now, obviously putrefying mud and living organs doesn't directly affect Eddie or James, but voracious feasting and appetite, which is what we see Eddie doing at least twice, or reference to eating at least twice in the game. Eddie also comes up a little bit later for another circle of hell, but I'll get into that when we get there. The fourth circle of hell is greed, and I personally think this comes across during your time in the hospital. Brief summary of greed. The person who condemns the sin of greed is punished in the fourth circle of hell. It refers to people as if they have lost their soul and carry a huge weight on their chest. They themselves choose to suffer to attain higher possession. Plutus, the god of wealth, guards the inner circle of greed. It includes cardinals, clergymen, and also the popes who accumulated possession and wasteful extravagance and foolishly misuse others' money for their own benefit. Now, as I say, the hospital, for me, represents greed. Because when you get to the chest, if you answer all the questions correctly, you get a lot of items from that chest. Useful throughout the game. Representation of greed. Not only that, but the 2 rings needed to access the door are gold and lead, which I think is a representation of alchemists trying to turn lead into gold. And also the phrase, carry a huge weight on their chest. Now there's a chest in the hospital that you cannot open without Maria's help. The statement of popes is an interesting one, because there is something a little bit unusual in the hospital, and that is to open the chest, one of the chests, you need to get a purple bull. I think this is a representation or a reference to papal bulls. So papal bulls are laws or rules that come from the Vatican and the Pope usually, dictating how lives should be led. And as popes are in, or some popes are in the fourth circle of hell, this may be a reference to those popes in the fourth circle because of their greed. The fifth circle of hell is wrath, and in this circle lived the souls who lived their lives wrathfully. Now, I think this is represented by Eddie's boss fight. Throughout the game we see Eddie as a very timid character, but when we get to his boss fight after the prison, he's become delusional, quite wrathful, quite angry. And I think this, particularly when you fight him in the boss battle, is the reference to the fifth circle of hell. Not only that, but once you've defeated Eddie and you go to the boat, that I think is a reference to crossing the river Styx, which is what Dante and Virgil have to do to get to the lower circles of hell. So, although brief, I think this is James going through the fifth circle of hell to get to the river Styx to go to the next circle. In addition to this, you also come across this article detailing the sinking of the Little Baroness on Lake Toluca. Now, at first glance, this may seem like just a random article that you find during the game. However, let me read to you from an extract from the Divine Comedy, and you'll see the link between Silent Hill 2 and the circles of hell. In this circle lived the souls who lived their entire life wrathfully. According to the poem, Dante, along with Virgil, find the souls to fight each other furiously on the surface of the river Styx. Depending on the severity of their wrathful actions, they sink in the river water. It reflects the type of sins they committed in their life. People who indulge in a silent sullen lie just below the surface. The people who are highly driven by their anger struggle deep inside the river. The souls struggle and fight each other for eternity. They choke each other and stop each other from expressing or speaking. The act represents the anger which expressed would harm other people. That could very well describe the souls in that article. On top of this, in terms of wrath, we also have to think about Angela and the fight you have with her manifestation of her father and her brother. Now, in this case, Angela's wrathfulness towards the manifestation of her father is completely and utterly justified. There is absolutely no way, and it is sickening what her father did to her. So Angela's wrath is totally and utterly justified in this case. I don't blame her. Don't blame her at all.
Angela, relax.
Don't order me around!
I'm not trying to order you.
So what do you want then? Oh, I see. You're trying to be nice to me, right? I know what you're up to. It's always the same. You're only after one thing.
No, that's not true at all.
You don't have to lie. Go ahead and say it. Or you could just force me. Beat me up like he always did. You only care about yourself anyway. You disgusting pig.
Angela.
Don't touch me! You make me sick. You said your wife Mary was dead, right?
Yes. She was ill.
Liar! I know about you. You didn't want her around anymore. You probably found someone else.
That's ridiculous. I never...
Once you've beaten Eddie in his boss battle, you leave the labyrinth and you end up on a boat crossing Lake Toluca. Now, with the theory that I'm going with, Lake Toluca actually represents crossing the River Styx and going into the lower circles of hell from level 6 onwards. Now, level 6, or sorry, the 6th circle of hell is heresy. Now, I will admit, I had trouble trying to link heresy, or the 6th circle of hell, which is heresy, with Silent Hill 2. However, it's a very brief snippet within the game, but I think I may have found it. And I will, just before I show you the clip, I will actually describe from the Divine Comedy the 6th circle of hell, heresy. The 6th circle of hell marks the beginning of lower hell, the souls being tortured in successive circles, committed heinous crimes and are punished with a severely tortured climate. The souls who denied the cause of Christianity are trapped in flaming hot tombs. Now we know that Lakeview Hotel at some point burned down, probably after James and Mary left. However, what I'm about to show you could represent the 6th circle of hell in terms of the game. As I say, it's quite small, but I think it does represent it.
Are you taping again? Come on. I don't know why, but I just love it here. It's so peaceful. You know what I heard? This whole area used to be a sacred place.
And with that, Mary has potentially committed the sin of heresy by saying that she's in a sacred place, or Silent Hill is a sacred place. It's a bit of a stretch, but I think that that is the heresy. Now, the next one is going to be obviously the 7th circle of hell, which is violence. And this is where it gets a little bit interesting, because not only does it involve James, but it also involves Angela as well. And so we reach the 7th circle of hell, violence. Now in the Divine Comedy, the 7th circle is divided into 3 rings. In the first ring, the souls of people who committed violent crimes against other human beings are tortured. Now I think this is represented by Angela, because it is implied in the game that she did kill her father. Father absolutely deserved it, but she did kill her father. It's described in the Divine Comedy that their souls are dipped in sweltering blood and flames of the river Phlegethon. And as we can see, Angela is surrounded by flames here. Not only that, but it is also implied in the game that Angela tried committing suicide, and that is the 2nd ring of the 7th circle. The souls of people who committed suicide or attempted to do so are tortured for eternity. And as we can see, Angela feels she is going to be tortured for doing what she's done. So that is the representation of the seventh circle of hell.
No! Don't pity me. I'm not worth it. Or maybe you think you can save me. Will you love me? Take care of me? Heal all my pain? That's what I thought. James, give me back that knife.
No. I won't.
Saving it for yourself?
Me? No. I'd never kill myself. It's hot as hell in here.
You see it too? For me, it's always like this.
With that, we reach the end of the seventh circle of hell. There are 2 more circles to go in the Divine Comedy, and there are very subtle references within the game. However, I didn't know whether they were big enough to include in this or not, which is why I stopped at 7 circles of hell. The final 2 circles are fraud and treachery. Now there are, like I say, subtle examples, and I will show you examples and describe them from the Divine Comedy now. So within the 8th circle of hell, there are 10 ditches. There is only one reference that I can find, very subtle reference I can find, to the 8th circle, and that is Maria again, and I will describe the first ditch of the 8th circle of hell. This circle is divided into 10 ditches or bolgia. The first bolgia, panderers, sex workers and seducers are tortured. They are whipped by the demons, for they exploited others by seducing them to fulfill their interests. Now we know that Maria worked at Heaven's Night, which is a strip club, so she could potentially be classed as a sex worker. Therein lies your 8th circle, which is fraud. And so, the very last circle of hell, treachery. Now, the 9th circle of hell is once again divided into 4 rounds. The first round is the one that we are interested in. It is named Cana, after Cain, who murdered his own brother Abel. Here, the souls of people who betrayed their own family and kin are freezing for eternity. Their neck and head are above the ice so that they could bow and protect themselves from the biting cold winds. Now, as we know through the whole story of Silent Hill 2, James killed Mary. Now, depending on the way you play it, it was either because he didn't want her suffering anymore, or because he just didn't want to be with her anymore. Either way, it is still treachery against his wife. And that is the ninth circle of hell. So, as I say, this is my theory. If you like this theory, let me know. If you have an alternative, let me know. But, thank you very much for watching. I do appreciate it. As I say, let me know what you think in the comments. Is it a good theory? Is it a bad theory? Can you expand on it? Or do you think something different? Let me know. And I will see you next time.